do it, Insecure. All right, fuck that. So releasing music. All right. Number one, like we said earlier, it's going to be your lowest stream of income. Music in general, even if you have millions and millions of plays, same with, the Kanyes, the Taylor Swifts, whatever, that's their lowest stream of income. Touring is more money. Merch is more money. Business, their other businesses, their makeup lines, that's more business. You're not going to make as much with streaming, regardless of how big of a star you are. The good thing about just releasing music in general is the potential of that. A song could randomly go viral a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, 10 years later. Look at Lizzo, always my example, my prime example. Her album that went wild with those singles was 2 years old, right? Even my own example, I put out the Drunk on the Mic record. Kylie Jenner randomly fucking heard it. I don't know Kylie Jenner, bruh. I still have not talked to this bitch to this day. And that shot my song up to millions of plays, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, everything, just because she happened to hear about it throughout the wavelengths and posted it on Snapchat a few times. Then she put it on her app, right? You could randomly go viral. You could also randomly, that song or that album you put out, something could be randomly picked up for TV and film sync. But at the end of the day, nothing is going to be discoverable if it's not out, right?
And real quick, not to
Yeah.
interrupt you, but for all the artists in the chat saying that you're sensitive about your music and shit, yo, I get it. And just like she said, you got to get past that. Like, if you're sensitive about your music, I'm going to tell you, you don't get confidence from working really, really hard on 1 or 2 or 5 songs. That's not going to make you confident. By the time you've done 100 and 200 and 500 songs, now you're like, yeah, I know where I kind of may have been slightly lazy, and then the ones that you really went hard on, but like now you got something to compare it to. If you don't have a lot of music, or if you haven't done a lot of music, especially we're talking about releasing music, I mean, yo, like you can always take it down later. You can always improve it. You can always remix it. You can always have somebody else do it. The act of putting it out, and this will go lightweight into like controlling the narrative and such, and that's kind of a deep concept, but ultimately, like, the act of doing something is a lot of the times bigger than the actual thing that you did. So the fact that you put out a song in the overall scope of things is going to be way bigger than the song itself, because by the time you've done it once, then 5 times, then 20 times, then 50 times, now you've got a catalog. But that may have been slowed down if you were so focused on how one song needed to be this or it needed to be that. Like, you're gonna just get in your own way. You gotta get out of your own way. You gotta get out of your feelings. Like, you're in a sport, and that's the best way I can play music is like, yo, you're in a sport and you're not in here to play a game here and there. That's little league.
Yo, that just made me think of a tennis match. I'm sorry to cut you off, but bro, it's like you can't play a tennis match if you hit the ball one time and then step off the court.
Yeah. Like,
that other person, they won automatically. They hitting balls left, right.
You're trying to get into a league with athletes, and the thing about the league is that there's all kinds of levels. There's professional, there's amateur, there's people trying to get in. So just understand, like, you don't got to be at somebody else's level. You got to be at your own level. But in order to get to your own level, you got to be consistent behind what it is that you want to do. Your intent is going to be better because your audience is going to be behind you no matter what. There's going to be reasons that you don't even understand why people mess with you on a certain level. If you're a female, it might be because you have a certain look to you that guys or females like, or for males, you know, you got a certain persona and a character that you bring out in your music. Like, you got to find and craft that person. And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is really getting to understand who it is that you're talking to. Travis Scott's not worried about trying to be, you know, on the top of the emo charts, but you know, he's just out there doing him. He knows who his audience is. Everybody's turning up and he's turning up with them. So you got to bring who you're looking for to be in your audience. You have to bring what they're looking for. You have to bring what they're after. Like, you got to represent them in that way. They don't have the voice. They look at you like you got the voice. So you got to speak for them.
Yeah, I would just add on to that. Well, it actually doesn't super relate to what you just said, but I was in the chat for a second. Dwayne said he didn't want to step on toes, but a lot of new up and coming artists are very picky about what they put out. They're new or not established, and so worried about their brand. What I say to that is, you know, you can't be worried if you haven't put anything out. And also, more than anything, if you're an artist, you're gonna get criticism. So you really just have to get used to it. You have to grow a thick skin regardless. Like, if you want to be a mainstream artist, can you imagine what that entails every day? People sending you death threats, people literally saying you're the ugliest blob on earth, people like literally criticizing every part of your soul and your existence. So if you can't take any type of criticism, and that's why you're not putting music out, then you highly need to consider a completely different career. Like right now, like completely. I could not say that a million times more. So, all right, besides me screaming at y'all about that, let's get back into this. So releasing music is going to be your lowest stream of income. Regardless, honestly, it's going to be, still, you could be making millions of dollars in it, and it's going to still be the lowest. Just to put things into perspective for anyone that doesn't know, 1 million Spotify streams renders a payout of roughly $6,000 to $9,000. It changes here and there, but you can live cool on a couple months on that. But if you're not getting millions of streams right now, like, you're not going to be able to last a year just living on your streaming alone. I have a further breakdown of minimum wage here. Like, to make $1,500 a month, which is the US minimum monthly wage, let's see, you need 300,000 Spotify streams, you need 200,000 on Google Play and Apple. Just take those things into consideration. Maybe set benchmarks for yourself. Like, I do want to make 1,500 this month or in the next 3 months. So how many streams does that mean I need to get? And what do I need to get to that many streams? Do not pay for fucking playlisting. Those are scams, unless it's through us, because I have real people helping. But those websites are scams. All right. Other royalties that you need to be collecting on. If you were in my publishing seminar last week, then you've already heard this, so I'll go through it quickly. Streaming is just one type of royalty. Within streaming royalties, there are 2 types, right? So there's the recording royalty, which is technically the master, which is collected by, DistroKid, TuneCore, whatever your distribution company is. That's the recording royalty. That's what they're collecting. They are not collecting an entire other side, which is the intellectual property, meaning your composition, your words, your actual musical composition. They're not collecting the royalty on that. So in order to collect that royalty, which you're not getting now if you don't have a publishing administrator, I would join Songtrust. That we've already talked about this if you were on the other calls. The cool thing about Songtrust is that you can also affiliate with them, meaning you don't need BMI or ASCAP if you don't have it already. So if you don't know about BMI or ASCAP, ask me later, because that's too basic for us. But join Songtrust, and they'll actually automatically register your songs with your PRO, BMI or ASCAP, if you have it already. So Songtrust is great. You can ask questions if you have questions about Songtrust later. Another one that you need to join is Sound Exchange. So soundexchange.com, they collect all the additional digital performance royalties. So that's like satellite radio, like Sirius XM, whatever it's called, digital cable shit, anything digital and webcast related, right? So Sound Exchange is a good one to have as well. It takes a while to get approved for Sound Exchange, so I would apply immediately for that. All right, let's get into SoundCloud real quick. So often people are just uploading to DistroKid and they're not even uploading shit to SoundCloud. Whereas it used to be a few years ago, it was